Hey, Ethans. Deconversion story time here. And I'm way behind on these, and I'm going to try and catch up as fast as I possibly can. This one came to me several months ago from Darthslash. And Darthslash lets us know that this is not the typical deconversion story. Why? Well, for starters, quote, I'm a Hindu, living in Singapore, a small country in Southeast Asia, in case anyone doesn't know. Now you may be wondering what someone of my background is doing watching your videos. I'll get to that in a while. First, let me explain a little about Singapore. It is a secular country with populations of Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists, and of course atheists, all living and working together. That sounds good. When I was growing up in the 90s, all was peaceful between the many religions, and I had no problem getting along with friends of different beliefs. But when I was growing up, I began to have serious doubts about Hinduism. My mom is quite religious and would bring me to the temple often to pray. But I noticed my prayers had absolutely no effect if I didn't do anything about it myself. Also, the many different gods in Hinduism cause lots of confusion. Which God do I pray to? Will I be punished for praying to the wrong God for the wrong prayer? On top of that, the gods look so damn scary with sharp teeth, and they look like they wanted to kill you with all the weapons they were holding. I was afraid of going to the temple and would always find excuses not to go. Just why were they so scary but answered prayers? Interesting question. That was when I began to look towards Christianity. In addition to being pretty popular, it seemed to be more peaceful and spiritual religion as compared to Hinduism. I began to read up a little on Christianity and seriously considered converting in future. I couldn't convert at the time because my mom would kill me if I converted while I was still living with my parents. It also seemed to feel like the only right religion in the world. So I made the choice to fully convert when I was older. But all that changed in the 2000s with the arrival of an evangelical megachurch. Formerly, I considered churches as venues of peace and spiritual comfort, but the megachurch turned that view upside down with its overly zealous worshipers and active worship like their versions of rock concerts, which are very tame compared to the real thing. This particular megachurch is the most infamous in Singapore. They actually target teens, kids and young adults, and focus on their insecurities and ignorance in order to convert them. Not to mention giving out flyers at bus stops and door-to-door visits. This pretty much shattered the unwritten rule in Singapore's of keep thy religion to thyself. Also, evolution is not taught in schools here, so they have pretty much zero knowledge of evolution. I had to read up on it myself. However, since I was interested in Christianity at the time, I went to a Christmas service at the megachurch at the invitation of a friend. I was pretty skeptical all the time during the service since everyone seemed to feel God's presence except me. And also, everyone seemed to swallow and cheer at everything the pastor said, which I found disturbing. Not to mention the speaking in tongues, which totally freaked me out. It looked like everyone was possessed by the devil at that point. However, everyone was really nice to me, and I felt comfortable among them, so I considered going for more services. I just thought I needed to get used to how things were done over there. Coincidentally, the very next day, I saw news of the 2004 Asian tsunami on TV. I wondered why God did that when thousands of people at the service were praising Him like mad just a day ago. So then, about a week later, I researched more about Christianity online. I was convinced that it was the right religion, though I was skeptical why I never felt the presence of God. Shouldn't everyone feel him if he's really there, even unbelievers? And now here's where the deconversion started. I found this article detailing a structure believed to be Noah's Ark buried in some mountain in Palestine. I proudly told my friend that Noah's Ark might possibly be real. Her next word shocked me. But it is true. It's in the Bible. You see, I always thought the stories in Genesis were like fables, metaphors, with moral lessons, not absolute truth. Then I realized that if I were to convert, I would have to believe every single event in the Bible. It was extremely hard for someone like me who was very interested in science. I always thought science supported Christianity. If it didn't, why was it still around? I had no problems with the tale of Jesus since it occurred only 2,000 years ago. But Noah's Ark, Adam and Eve, where was the evidence? The time frame, how does it relate to evolution and the Big Bang, dinosaurs, the Ice Age? Then I realized it was what it was, a mere fairy tale, just like the Hinduism I gave up. I felt betrayed. Fast forward a few more years. I had my first taste of beef, which was my final step away from Hinduism. But the evangelical movement was spreading like a virus into my life when I thought I had escaped it. A few friends of mine converted and they had a total personality change. They began praising God and Jesus like deluded zombies in the presence of unbelievers. I also heard about many cases of marriages, relationships, and families breaking apart because one party converted and the others refused to. Buddhists and atheists also got annoyed by being stopped on the street and being preached to. Such cases were unheard of before the evangelical church came here. It threatened to disrupt the religious harmony in the country, though no one wants to admit it. It also caused many people, especially Buddhists, who seem to be the main target for preachers, to dislike Christianity and sadly some to embrace it. Even the smaller churches jumped the bandwagon and started promoting the cause and offering this new kind of act of worship. Worse still, only Christianity was doing this. Other religions here remain passive. I was furious. First, Christianity completely screwed me over and turned out to be fake when I thought God meant for me to convert, and now it had screwed over people I had cared for by either deluding them or making them victims of delusion. I had enough, and I had decided that it was time to expose this farce for what it was to many of the people as possible. So I decided to start where I had stopped, Genesis, which led me to your videos debunking Genesis. Before I watched your videos, I had never heard Genesis in its entirety because I never did own a Bible. After watching your videos, Genesis looked more and more like a badly scripted comedy, trying very hard to be serious but failing miserably. It was also when I found out that there was an atheist movement here, just like in the U.S., but it was just starting out. I studied up on evolution and was thoroughly disgusted by the dirty taxes the American creationists are trying and were using to try and get rid of it. Evolution is not taught here, since it can draw fire by religious students and their parents. It makes students even more vulnerable to propaganda and false claims against evolution. This worries me a great deal. Add to that the absence of freedom of speech here, along with the state-controlled mass media, and it looks like we're in for an uphill task to promote atheism. But hey, something has to be done to promote rational thought over delusion before it's too late. That's it for my deconversion story. Something different from what you're used to. I would absolutely agree, and thank you so much, Darthslash.